Welcome to this week's Dream Car judging video here at BOTB. We'd now like to hand over to today's lawyer from Onside Law who'll oversee the proceedings.
My name's Claire Wallace from Onside Law and I'll be overseeing the judging this morning. Firstly, I can confirm that the competition data has already been sent to the auditing company Assets. I would now like today's judges to introduce themselves and, using the secure link provided, mark on the screen where they think the centre of the ball should be. The group will then come to a final panel decision.
Good morning, my name is Matt Cannon. I'm a senior county referee and footballer.
Hi, I'm Jenna Scalacci, retired professional footballer, now operations manager at Tottenham Hotspur Academy.
Good morning, my name's Hugh Gilroy. I'm a referee, mentor, tutor and observer.
Good morning, my name's Andy Braithwaite and I'm a football referee, mentor and licensed observer.
Hello, my name's Wendy Martin. I previously played for Tottenham Hotspur Ladies and currently play beach soccer for England and Team GB.
Good morning, my name is Alain Goma. I'm an ex-professional football player, having played for Paris Saint-Germain, Newcastle and Fulham.
Good morning, my name's Peter Giorgio. I'm a football and futsal referee.
Hi, my name's Renee Hector and I'm a coach for Watford FC Women Development and I coach for Tottenham Hotspur Foundation.
Judges, please now come to a final panel decision. For your reference, the larger white cross is the calculated average of the 8 individual selections.
Thank you very much, Claire. Good morning, everybody. Before I draw some lines in, Peter, I'm going to come to you. There's your light blue cross that's magnified in the picture. If you could explain what you think is happening in the shot, what's happening with the ball, and then how you reached your decision, please.
Yes, good morning, Matt and everyone. Two players in shot. Player in white and player in blue. To me, I think the player in blue has shoved the player in white to create space for the ball. That's not too sure if it's dropping into him or it's bounced up, but it's in between the two players. And in regards to the actual position of the actual ball, the two eye lines don't exactly meet with each other in the centre. So the player in blue, when I was looking at his eye line, was above, and the player in white, his eyes were below. So I've gone in between, basically sat on the fence really, in between those two eye lines. But that's where I've put the centre of the ball. But I think blue is favourite for the ball. You could argue in regards to the player in white, he may have headed the ball, flicked it, but the way the player in blue has his arm across into the back of the player, it was just, I think, just creating the space for the ball to be in his position, in his possession.
Yeah, and which way do you think the ball's coming? Left or right? Dropping straight down, as you said?
Difficult to. I've sat on the fence on this one.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
That's no problem at all. So Jenna, you're just next to Peter's, but a little bit lower here. There's your green cross that's magnified. Oh, sorry, beg your pardon. 1, 2, 3, 4. Thank you very much, Peter. I'll draw some lines up. First from the player in white. I'm just looking up through Alain's. And then the lower one with Hughes. And then we have this player, Renee's. Again, dropping down through Hughes. So next I'll come to you, Jenna. Yours is the green cross there, just to the left and a little bit lower than Peter's. What did you see?
Yeah, I saw it slightly different to Peter. For me, I felt the player in white was the favourite here. I felt he was backing into the player in blue. He's got his arm up just to feel where he is. And for me, he looks in a bit of a stronger position to be receiving the ball. I felt the ball was coming in from right to left as we're looking at it. I've put my cross mostly from the player in white's eye line. I felt that he was looking across slightly up and the ball might have been bouncing in. And for me, I felt he was just backing into the player in blue to maybe roll across him. I didn't take too much from the player in blue's eye line. As Peter mentioned, I felt he was looking higher. And I think he's just trying to interrupt the player in white, maybe just give him a little nudge. But for me, I felt the player in white was getting ready to back into the player in blue.
Yep, lovely. And just below yours is the yellow cross of Hugh. Do you agree with that, Hugh?
Yeah, I do actually. I I feel the player in white is favourite. I don't know whether he's going to let it kind of come across him and then run onto it, or whether it's going to go between them. But I felt he kind of looks already on the turn, and I think he's got two eyes focused on the ball. I do think it's a tricky one because the player in blue, for me, is looking down slightly, but there isn't a huge amount of overlap where they're looking, and I think he might potentially be focused on the player in white rather than the ball so much. But yeah, I felt it's coming kind of from where we're sat into the picture, and I think the player in white's the favourite to run onto this.
Okay, thank you. And on the same lineup from the player in white, but close to the blue player, is a blue cross. Andy, that's yours. There's magnification. What did you see?
Thanks, Matt. Good morning.
Hi.
For my take of this particular picture, I feel that if you look at the guys in white and blue, they're both facing sort of to the left as we're looking at the picture. So I believe that the ball was coming in from left to right in a straight line towards them. I feel it's probably been deflected either by a colleague or whatever. So it's going across the guy in white. So he's basically trying to spin now the guy in blue. But I felt that they were both, just by their body, the actual torsos were facing forwards, if you like. And as I said, the guy in white is sort of trying to spin off the guy in blue. As has been said, the guy in white's eyes are fixed firmly on the ball. The guy in blue was probably looking at his opponent straight ahead of him when the ball was deflected. And so reason being why his eyes are still focused straight ahead.
Yep. Okay. And who thinks favourite for the ball?
White.
White. Okay. And then we're just going to move up slightly to Wendy's and then my own. So Wendy, yours is the orange cross. How did you get to that, your position?
Yeah, good morning, Matt. Probably a little bit of a mix of, I think, all the judges so far. So I think the ball's coming in right to left. I actually think the player in white is favourite to win the ball. I think the ball's dropping in over his shoulder though. So I think he's sort of got clear view watching the ball as it's coming in, dropping over his shoulder, and he's looking to run onto it. And I think the player in blue is actually trying to give him a little tug back. Maybe the player in white's kind of got across in front of him, and the player in blue is focused on the player in white, trying to give him a little tug back to stop him getting away from him. So that's how I saw it. It obviously took the eye lines of the players as well. The player in blue, there is a tiny bit of white just under his left eye ever so slightly. So I thought he was the ball wasn't quite as low as some of the other judges because and he was looking quite like straightforward.
Yeah, thank you. And that leaves mine, which is just slightly above you. I actually totally think it's totally different. I think the player scenario I had in my mind when I looked at the photograph is the player in blue is coming in, almost like a typical centre half, possibly that's the crossbar in the background. And the ball's bounced up, so it's coming left to right, and he's just coming in and just going to nick the ball. And the player in white's got a surprised look on his face, and he's looking as the ball comes through. As been said earlier, the player in blue's just giving him a little bit of a nudge, and I think he's got a very intent look on his face down to the ball. So I took most of my the best eye line from the player in blue, looking at the ball where I am there, and the player in white just was watching the ball pass him by. And I also thought the ball was in front of the player in white. It's actually in front with the blue. He's quite in focus. And although he's got his arm on, the player in white for me is a little bit out of focus. So he's obviously a little bit further back. And that's how I reached my decision. And then we've got the two upper choices. So Alain, yours is first. Yours is there on the left side of the screen, a little bit higher up. How did you get to your choice?
Yeah, thank you, Matt. I see it a bit like you, I would say. I think that the player in white is more like a striker, and for me, he looking at his body position. He's looking like he's getting ready to turn and make a run on the channel. He's got his arm up. I think he's trying to maybe hold on eventually the player on his right hand side. And but I think yeah, the ball is coming on his left hand side, so from right to left, and is being played on the channel. Sorry. And the player in blue, I think, is a defender. Is trying to anticipate, so he's going to come across in front of the player in white. For me, he's a favorite to head the ball. And looking at the eye line, I think he's looking slightly down, slightly below eye level. So yeah, I took mainly the information from this player. I think the player in white. Yeah, I'm not sure if he's looking where his opponent is, and I'm not sure if he's looking really at the ball. So I said, from the information I took from the player in blue, this is where I thought the ball was.
Yep. Okay. Thank you. And lastly, Rene, you're ever so slightly higher and obviously to the right from Elaz. What did you see?
Yeah, I pretty much agree with your theory, Matt. I looked at the two players and I just feel like the player in blue is more in control. I think both players are moving forward, one by the player in white, his body position, and the player in blue, sort of his hair is starting to obviously go backwards, which indicates to me that he's sort of coming through and trying to move forwards. I think he's coming in to sort of, like you say, as a big centre back, trying to come in and intercept. I think the player in white is potentially about to try and gamble and maybe spin off him, which is why he sort of looks in this sort of ready body position. But I just felt like the player in white was a little bit out of focus. So it might have been that either the ball was further away from him or he's in the middle of making like a sharp movement, which is why I felt, just because the player in blue is more in focus, I feel like his eye line is a bit more intent. I can't really see that he's looking at the player rather than the ball. I think he's got pure focus on the ball in this scenario. And sort of his eye line, I felt, was ever so slightly down, but pretty much straight sort of out. So that's why I put my ball there.
Yeah, thank you. So we hover over the top of this calculated average. We see that there's Alain and Rene's quite a long way away, but we also have, if I can get it over the top, Andy's pretty much outside, and so is Hugh. It's interesting, we have 4 judges who think that the white is favourite for the ball, 3 who think blue, and Peter sitting on the fence. And I think it's interesting that if I'm right, Rene, and Alain and myself, the centre halves have gone for a sort of more of a centre half scenario of him coming through and playing the ball. And it's been alluded to by various people that they don't think the eyes meet, i.e. it's not just a straight connection of the eyes between the two players, which I think has also caused a little bit of confusion. We've also got some people thinking the ball's coming left to right and some people coming the ball right to left. So how to progress? So as I said, if I put the magnifier over here, as you say, we've got 2 judges quite a long way away at the top, and then 2 a little bit closer but outside the magnifier. Now, if I, just for the scenario, remove Alain and Rene's, as you can see the magnifier drops down into this position, and all we have is a little bit of Andy sticking out. If we go the other way and remove Hugh's and Andy's, the choice goes up, but again, there's more outside the magnifier, and that's the same with Alain and Rene's. They're still quite a way away from the magnifier, from the circle. So I'm going to ask you as a panel to what you think about this. I think personally, and as lead judge, that if you do think Alain and Rene's is too high, it's not individual, it's the pair of them that we'd remove. So that's what we're going to vote on, to drop down into this calculated average. And then whether we're happy with the remaining calculated average, or if you think, but as a second question, whether you think anything else should be moved. So first, I'd like you to judge on whether Rene and Alain's are both removed, And if not, if there's anything else, or whether you're indeed happy with this calculated average. So I hope that's understood. So Jenna, I'm going to come to you first. A few questions to ponder over.
Yeah, can I see it just without the higher two again?
Yeah, that's Anna and Rene's removed.
I think just given the way we've normally judged and that everyone else is inside that section there, I would remove both.
Yeah, okay. And just to clarify the difficulty on this, I think that's why I've not done it as lead judges, because there are others at the bottom outside. So that's but that's understood. So remove, I'll put you down as. Hugh?
Yeah, I think I would say the same. I think it's a better average personally for me, obviously, because I've gone lower. And I can see the player in blue looking that high, but I can't see the player in white. So I would say bring it down. And as Jenna said, we're then closer as a cluster. So yeah, I'd say remove.
Thank you. Andy?
Although I agree with their reckonings on the reasons why it is high, I just feel it's a little bit too high, so I would remove.
Yeah. Wendy?
Yeah, I think they're just a little bit too high, and I think it's a neater cluster with them removed. So I'll remove.
And although we're voting on Anna and Rene's, I'm going to come to you, Anna, because obviously there's other scenarios that I spoke about. So what do you think, Anna?
I personally would keep everyone. I think we can't really discard the eyeline of the play in blue. So therefore I would keep everyone.
Yeah, because you're talking about the calculated average where it is.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Peter?
I agree with Alan. I think it should all of them should be included, and I'm happy with the average where it is.
Yeah. And Rene?
Yeah, I agree with the past two judges. I think with the calculated average where it is, I think it's possible that both players could be looking at that calculated average. And personally, because I sort of favour the player in blue's eye line, I just don't think it's as low as some of the other judges. But I like sort of the cross where it is, because I think even though both eye lines don't meet, I think that they can both still see the ball where it is.
Yeah, thank you. So that just leaves me. I'm going to leave both Anna and Rene's in, and our reason for being is it's not because I don't agree that that's where the center of the ball is, but I think that the calculated average as we have it here is a lot better than if they're both removed and it drops obviously quite a long way further from mine. And I just think that's too low from my perspective from the player in blue. And that gives us a 4-4 tie. And as lead judge, we're going to judge at this calculated average, sort of a casting vote, so to speak. So it's a very interesting picture, lots of different scenarios, and I hope everyone's happy with that. So Claire, after a good panel vote, which ended up at 4-4, I've used my lead judge role to agree that we'll go forward with all 8 judges taken into consideration, which gives us this particular calculated average.
Great, thank you, Matt. If you're happy, then please press submit. Thank you, judges. So the coordinates selected are X2261, Y1303. These coordinates will now be passed to the auditing company assets to calculate the winner of the competition, and they will then inform BOTB. So that concludes the judging process for today. Thank you very much.
Thank you.